Hi everyone, happy Wednesday. I thought I'd chime in with a little update on what's going on energetically that perhaps may resonate and how to apply your energy during this transition. So, tomorrow we have Mercury moving into the sign of Cancer, and Mercury controls and governs our communication and a lot of mind um, intelligence, analytics, things like that also tend to come with Mercury energy. And Cancer is a very emotional sign. In fact, they are the feelers. They really run and choose how to navigate their reality based on how they feel. So when we've got Mercury being a very kind of heady planet, that's really bringing a lot of that head connection with the throat and kind of circling here. And then we've got it positioning into the sign of Cancer, which is very much about our feelings. We are bridging the gap between how we feel now becoming part of how we speak and how we associate ourselves with the world around us. We find ourselves really kind of triggered in setting new foundations and relationships, voicing our concerns. We might even notice that there's a bit more of our energy feeling at home with speaking our truth. So perhaps it's a little less efforting and more into the flow of the effortless space that we are always asking for, but might not always be the right timing for that articulation or expression. And so right now, we are on the cusp of tomorrow's wave of energy coming in, where we are sort of leveling up in alignment with the second and third body in the layers around us. So the second is the emotional, the third is the mental, and we've got the two really activated and working symbiotically. So you might find yourself feeling a bit more called to action as far as really finding some grounding in how we use our voice and how we communicate. You may seem to gravitate towards deeper levels of communication with those around you, perhaps creating new relationships, new agreements, sparking new contracts together, maybe rewriting some old ones and adding some addendums. But this is really an interesting time because Mercury is also coming into what's called the North Node. And if you're familiar with astrology at all, the North Node in our chart is really where we find information about being on our true path. So what does that mean? It's like how we use all of us, every single part of us, to align ourselves in passion that directs the flow of energy where we are completely in alignment. So it doesn't mean that you are subscribing to something that is a finality, meaning if you choose to use your time by being a photographer, it doesn't mean that for the rest of your life you must commit to that experience and that expression. It means that you are constantly in flow with trusting your intuition, bringing it up into the analytics, using your third chakra to willpower it out into the world and manifest your reality right back to you like a mirror. So when we talk about things being in full alignment, that's truly what it is. There's never really something specific that you are absolutely required to do in this lifetime. There's things that you as a soul have chosen before you came in as almost like little breadcrumbs and markers saying, hey, this is a soup of energy that I have in this body that would really serve me to go in this type of direction or to express it in this sort of way. And this is also going to give me layers of growth that I'm really seeking as a soul. So those things are true. But it's never really designed in the sense for obligation or for a demand or a responsibility on our space. If those things occur, it has to do with programming and less to do with our own spiritual guidance. So spiritual guidance is always grounded in flexibility, in flow, in, hey, are you still excited about this direction? And if not, no problem. You just got to own that. You just have to be accountable for the fact that you are now reflecting on your unhappiness and you have to tweak it and make a different choice. And so we're constantly in flow as long as our choices really reflect how we actually feel, so that way we stay in alignment with our North Node. getting pulled into that magnetic quality of our life that seems to almost put us in a timeline where things become a bit more magical. They become a bit less efforting and a lot more in flow. That's where opportunities seem to just come out of nowhere and sort of take us into this beautiful synchronicity and an influx of wisdom and happenstance that really just magnifies the excitement about being here and what you're doing with your energy every single day. So, if you've been feeling perhaps on the opposite end of that, like just really lost and confused, and like maybe you're rewriting your identity, maybe there's kind of a rebirth experience going on, that's really spot on for this energy as well, because this wave is giving us some clues, some deeper clarity and insight as to what those answers are in the questions that you're sort of radiating out in your auric field. So, as we transition through this Mercury North Node alignment in Cancer, we're also in a trajectory for 3 eclipses coming up here in the next few summer months. So we've got June and July, we have lunar eclipses, we have solar eclipses, and kind of just a little interesting side note on that is June 5th is actually the first lunar eclipse, and then it's followed by a solar eclipse, and then we have another lunar eclipse. And I just happened to notice that June and July's eclipses both take place on a 5th date, which is fascinating because we are transitioning as a collective from 3-dimensional reality into 5-dimensional reality. And so I thought that was kind of interesting to just notice the numerical number 5. And when my guides really talk about numbers, they tend to gravitate towards the 5 really representing the collective of humanity. Really just sort of a tiny little droplet that almost activates dormant information and a type of remembrance. And so I thought that perhaps it would be important to mention at this time that the reason why it's so important to get our foundations really secure and settled and really honor our truth and be willing to really speak that into clarity and into reality, it feels as though that is the precursor to the waves of energy that are going to come in and assist us through the eclipse push. So when an eclipse shows up, it's really intense in the sense that if we ride the wave, we get to just coast and allow things to move. If we sort of resist the wave, we kind of get pummeled by it and end up doing a little bit of this before we surrender and flow. So it's just a bit of a heads up that these eclipses are coming, which means we're really in a collective alignment for big, massive transformation and change. So that's both on a everyone included and your own personal experience. So this is really great time to just kind of flow with your own pull. It's like, what is asking you to say yes and what is asking you to now say no? And everything is so fluid right now that as we step into more of an acceptance of those answers, the less likely we are to trip into old patterns, the less likely we are to show up in a reality that's going to show us everything we don't desire. So we're just kind of slipping in between timelines right now, and as we have more of a deeper acceptance with ourselves, the less likely we are to experience some tumultuous resistance and thus less desirable emotions. So we'll be talking a lot more about that tonight. If you're free and you'd like to join in at 6 p.m., we'll be doing the root chakras, the beginning of the chakra series. It's a 7-week series. And each week we focus on each individual chakra. We're going to talk about the science behind the chakras, how they work, which one governs what. We're going to actually dive into our own personal energy systems and learn how to gauge where we're at and how we can tweak it and update those information to reflect back to us in our reality what we're truly capable of, and less about the like settling and sort of just allowing things to kind of rock us around. So this is truly a series that takes you from victimhood into will-powered empowerment. So I will probably do a recording tonight that I hope to be sending out to those of you who perhaps cannot make it to class tonight but still want to be a part of the series. So the recording will be just as effective because this isn't a very interactive class. This is a lot of me guiding you and you receiving and following along, but it's not a lot of like breaking out into groups and practice and playing like I do in my intuitive development series. This is much more in like a teaching and a guided meditation to really hold space for the change that you wish to make tonight. So, you know, as always, there's no real time and space, so you tuning into the class at a later point in time is absolutely perfect. Everything is in alignment. So if it's on your mind and you're feeling called to join us in some fashion, please do so, and please reach out and let me know that you're interested. Maybe you can only make half the classes or something. I'm flexible. I just really want people to have this information. I think it's really important right now that we really take a look at what's going on with our energetic system, because as we know, things are really flowing with our own intuitive guidance. So it's time to really put more power there. It's time to really take away all of that programming and things that are blocking us from really taking in our highest level of thriving and abundance in this life. So regardless of what's going out in the world, we have the opportunity to take our reality into our own hands, because after all, reality is only a mirror of what we are reflecting out. So your emotions, your behavior, and your spiritual frequency and kind of soul signature mixed with also your thought forms, those four things are the soup of energy in and around you that are creating your reality. So as we make little adjustments and fine-tune those things, everything that starts to show up for you is going to mirror those changes. So it's really crucial that we climb out of this is all happening to me and I have no power and I have to just sit here and allow it to happen. There's actually a lot more about being in your own power seat, a different type of allowance, a different type of you tapping into your true capabilities and not the ones that you've been tricked into believing. So that's really what this chakra series is about, is reclaiming your personal power. So it's not too late to sign up. Let me know if you're interested. It's going to be on Skype, and there's no pressure to hop on camera and chit chat with everybody or be seen. You can just come in on voice or just listen and have everything kind of muted. It's all good. So the recordings will be there, and I will be sending them out to those of you who are interested. All right, guys, I will be in touch soon. Love you. Bye.